Hey, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome to this week's episode. How are you?
Q the A podcast,
Q the A podcast. This is Eon K. Grissom,
and I'm Dookie Royale.
Mr. Dookie Royale.
That is correct.
All right, so
How's
this week
everyone?
we're gonna bring you a little discussion on the Coral Castle. Maybe somewhere you've been on some type of family vacation or something, or maybe you saw, I don't know, something about it on TV or the interweb. But I've been there, and I'd heard about it a long time ago, and I finally went there, and it's quite something. Dookie Royale, you ever been there?
I have not been there, and I didn't even hear about it until maybe a year ago. But it's a pretty cool place, from what I hear.
Yeah. But before we get started too much about that, I was going to start a new feature. It's called "What Beer Am I Drinking During This Podcast?" So at the moment, we have a delicious Hefeweizen from southern Germany, Bavaria to be specific. I find it to be one of my favorite types of beer, the Hefeweizen, which is a wheat beer.
Bless you.
Grazie. This one, however, they started brewing it like this in 1634. And that just is always a real fun for me to think about how long that is.
You should be paying 1634 prices for it.
That would be fantastic. Although, when I went to Germany, I've been over there to Bavaria, and it was like $1 for a big beer. I mean, it was dirt cheap. It was cheaper than bottled water. So if I could just pay current day Bavarian prices, I'd be happy. Okay, so back to the Coral Castle.
Yeah. One of the rare sites of megalithic stone structures in the world.
Yes. Down in just outside of Miami, Florida, a town called Homestead, Florida. Latvian American eccentric Edward Leedskalnin had come over from what country was it? The Ukraine? No, Latvia.
Latvia.
I just said that. Latvian American. And he was born in 1887 and died in 1951. He just kind of comes out of nowhere off the boat and had a 4th grade education. And he just started working on this stone structure, kind of an outdoor type hangout thing, I guess, at first. Yeah. He was building it for his long lost bride to be, who was a 16-year-old, and he was waiting on her.
He spent like 28 years building the thing too, right?
Yeah, so he built it for a little while. Let's see the timing here. He built it, but then he moved it over the course of 3 years, like 10 miles away where it currently stands.
Yeah, originally built a castle named Rockgate Park in Florida City, Florida, in 1923.
Okay, so is that the Rockgate Park? Is it the same stuff or a whole different thing? He moved it, right?
Yeah, it was originally called Rockgate Park, and then
Rockgate Park. Okay.
Tuberculosis or something, and like the Everglades, like the city of Miami was expanding, and it was, I think that Rockgate Park in Florida City was like getting swallowed by the Miami outgrowth. And so as soon as they started talking about zoning areas around him, he decided to leave.
Yeah, okay. He spent 28 years. So after he moved it and got it in the permanent location, 28 years working on it. And he would only work on it alone and at night.
Right. But I mean, it's still like amazing that he even moved it. Like all the, because it's a pretty crazy, you'll find out later about all the details of what he's built. But
yeah,
just moving the thing.
He was a stone mason or something like that. So he was, that's a disclaimer. He was a professional stone guy, like worker. So it's not like it's some kind of janitor who's pulling this crazy stuff off. But he's also doing it all alone. Now, some of these stones, how much do they weigh? They're giants. They're giant limestone stones made from coral, and he like just chiseled them out of the ground, and he built this ridiculous castle place you can go to. I mean,
Yeah, it says objects are made from single pieces of stone that weigh on an average 15 tons each. So I mean, just think about that. I mean, that's 30,000 pounds. The largest stone weighs 30 tons, and the tallest are 2 monoliths.
right. So that's just insane. I mean, he even has this door there, and apparently around the mid '80s, it broke, and they tried to repair it, and nobody could figure out how to repair it. But somehow, before it broke, he had it so perfectly balanced that like a small child could, with their fingers, just push it,
Right.
and it would spin like perfectly balanced on its axis. I went there. I was a little disappointed that they didn't have it. They had another one that was smaller that they had kind of remade, and you could push it around, but it wasn't. I don't think it was anything as impressive as the original.
So on the information that I was reading about Coral Castle, it said that he was that door itself was featured on In Search Of, and that's incredible. This shows in like the 90s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Just because of that door, just the door itself.
Yeah.
That was so perfectly. I mean, it was like on one. What do you call those things? One bearing. It was placed on one bearing. Like, and they figured out like later when it stopped working in like the 80s or like 1986 or something like that. It stopped working, and so they dismantled it a little bit and found one bearing holding the whole thing up.
Yeah. See, that's
And it had
pretty
rusted.
impressive.
Yeah, it rusted, and like
Yeah.
that's why I had to change it.
Yeah. I'm sure if he was alive, he would have been able to fix it up real nice. They had like, multiple engineers couldn't figure it out. So now, of course, there's wild conspiracy. Well, I don't know about conspiracy, but there's wild ideas about this
Theories.
man and how he went about making this by himself. People think maybe he knew some kind of mystical truth about reversing gravity. He actually claimed to know. He claimed to know the secrets that the Egyptians knew.
Yeah.
And he said he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to tell anybody about it because they could use it for evil.
Yeah, some kids once said that they had snuck up on his place and watched him move megalithic stones with tools, like just a tuning fork or something.
Yeah, and he was just kind of making them float around like balloons or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. Hydrogen balloons.
Oh yeah,
that's how.
I mean, I've heard, of course, there's, people talking about extraterrestrials giving him some kind of technology or working with him to do it. I mean, this was a tiny little man. He was like 5 feet tall.
Probably under 100 pounds. I mean, you can see pictures of him, right? I mean, if you look at it if you Google his name online, you probably find a picture of him.
Yeah, I got a picture of him I bought a postcard when I was there.
Yeah, he's a tiny dude.
He's got this, it's cool though. He's got these little chairs that he's carved out. And I mean, they're really actually very comfortable to sit in. He's got the contour set up just right. Now, if you're watching the video here, I got this tour guide from when I went there. Yes, QVA podcast on YouTube.com. And it's pretty interesting. It's also got a map here on the back of the area, because a lot of the stuff that he put in there is kind of symbolic. It's metaphoric. There's different planets, and he was kind of an interesting guy. He had some interesting ideas.
So it looked like it was pretty much rectangular square. How big is that, do you think? Like 2 or 3 acres or something?
It might be close to an acre.
Oh, so it's
think how big an acre is. It's a pretty decent. I mean, it's a big open air thing. So if you haven't seen it, don't be thinking about it being enclosed with a roof. It's just open air. There's a big, tall stone fence all the way around it. And there's all these almost like furniture pieces everywhere scattered about, different levels you can go up and climb on. He's got a well in there. He has like an oven type thing. And he had used different, like, he had rigged up all kind of like bicycle parts and stuff to make it into this really nice little oven.
Huh.
Um,
Yeah, see that it's so some of the cool things of Coral Castle. It's 1,100 tons of stones, and these are made out of like coral. I mean, like bedrock coral, which is light. I think it's like by volume is twice as much as regular stone, so you can get they're twice as big.
Yeah, they're very
for the weight.
Got pretty good size.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I had heard about this place years ago. My friend had been here on a family vacation. I'm sure that's how a lot of people have been there if they've known anything about it. I guess we could read about some of these different bits of furniture and what they mean.
Yeah, let's go over that.
So first off, there's the gate. Ed, the maker of this, he depicts a drawing of the path of the earth following around the sun as you enter the place. And then there's the bell. While Ed was alive, the gate into the castle was kept locked at all times. The sign on the gate says, "Ring bell," and the one on the wall says, "Ring twice." If you rang the bell twice and Ed was not busy, he would unlock the gate and take you on a tour of the castle for 25 cents. If you rang the bell once or more than twice, or if he was busy, he would not unlock the gate at all. The bell is considered from the rear end. The bell is constructed from the rear end of an old Model T Ford. The clapper is fashioned from a steering column. So yeah, he was all about reusing these weird pieces of hardware for different type little engineering projects. It says Ed had an insurance policy. Said he didn't need fire insurance. He had nothing that would burn. As for liability, he considered his posting warning enough. Notice, be careful. Anything you do on these premises is at your own risk. So that's how he handled. Because yeah, I mean, he would give these tours, for a long time, and that's really cool to think. I wish we could go back in time and go there and meet the guy that's making this thing and let him show you around.
Yeah, I think it was 10 cents per. Is it?
Yeah,
like
probably something like 10 cents. I paid $12.
I read a story where when he died, he only had $3,500 to his name from all the years of 10-cent donations or something.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, the 3-ton gate, and that's the thing I believe that everybody's all jazzed about. The gate is triangular in shape, weighs approximately 6,000 pounds. There aren't any gears or bearings in the rotating mechanism. Ed balanced the gate on the axle of a Model T with a Coca-Cola bottleneck on the end of and the axle had to be lubricated. So yeah, I remember that. It just sits on the top of this glass bottle top.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, these are the ones I talked about. He created these rocking chairs. These chairs were approximately 1,000 pounds each, and they can actually be rocked. Like, that's the coolest thing. You're sitting in this 1,000-pound chair, and you're just rocking back and forth. And he's just got like the angle all figured out.
Like it's a lightweight thing?
Well, I mean, you can feel the weight, of course, but you're able to just get it rocking real easy and smooth.
I wonder how many times it took him to get that right.
Yeah, for real, right? It says the absence of chisel marks gives the appearance that of natural growth on these chairs and most other carvings. The only place that you will see chisel marks are on some of the outer walls. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yep. A lot of the megalithic sites around the world, they barely ever have tool marks.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because you'd think, like, why would they want to be so precise in the first place? Like, they're just like there's megalithic spheres all over the planet, like everywhere. Just these huge, perfect spheres, like measured, scanned, 3D scanned. They're just absolutely perfect. There's no, they're not egg shaped at all in any way.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
Just these big, giant, nice, perfect spheres.
Yeah, and they lay on the ground. Great. So people think, and some of them are models of the planets, right? So, and then, which is strange because how do they know of planets back then? I thought the world was flat, but they'd have like perfectly spaced and sized planets of the solar system, all in order with these spheres as well. So there was an understanding of that way back.
Hey, can you hear my dogs yapping?
Yeah, I can.
Man.
You're all by yourself too.
Yeah, I might just
barking
walk outside. Oh man, they're probably barking at nothing. If they keep it up, I'm gonna have to go put them out.
All right.
Oh, this is really cool. Listen to this. This guy Ed. Okay, so Ed's the man. Ed's the theme of this episode. We're gonna dedicate this episode to Ed.
To my boy Ed.
To my boy Ed, Mr. Leedskalnin. Mr. Ed, the Latvian immigrant who built the cool thing. Okay, so he didn't have any electric power. For best reading light, he would sit on the chair on the right in the morning, and he'd switch to the center one in the middle of the day, and then to the left one in the late afternoon. The center chair and footstool are carved from a single block of coral. It's shaped like a modern contour chair, yet carved more than 70 years ago, it's still very comfortable, particularly if you're only 5 feet tall, as he was. The space on each side of the footrest is his way of making the chair comfortable for persons with longer legs. I think he actually even had a chair there that he intentionally made uncomfortable for people he didn't want them to stay. So he'd say, "Here, sit in this chair," and it was like really inhospitable. But yeah, that's the chair I sat in, man. It is very comfortable. Like you could just sit there and watch a movie, and it's not like cut smooth. It's cut raw. Like it just looks like raw coral, but it's just the way you just balance on it. It's real nice.
He like made a 2-story coral megalith structure that he lived in.
Yeah. In the corner over there, there's a 2-story thing, and yeah, he lives up in the upper part, and you can go in there and tour his little bedroom and see it. Yeah, for sure.
You think he still lives there?
I mean,
you think he still floats around? Yeah, he might.
He might. Dun dun dun. They don't do ghost tours there that I know of.
Oh, see, there's your inn.
There's the inn. Okay, so he has a table that you can sit down at and, just hang out. And it's in the shape of Florida. And he even included that big, giant Lake Okeechobee, the giant lake down in South Florida, which is Florida's largest lake.
He's an artist and a stonemason.
Oh, he's a total artist. I mean, think about it. Everybody knows this type of person that, they just they hang out in their little spot and they just get obsessed, and he just starts thinking about like, what can I do? Like he's just always there for like almost 30 years, just always working on something and making it just the way he wants. He's like a crazed, like wizard type guy. He's kind of like Leonard out at Salvation Mountain, of course.
Do you think the kids that live near him used to have stories about him, like how he's the crazy old man down the street? They would it would like
Oh,
stare at his house, and whenever
oh,
he's poking
dude.
his head out, they'd run.
I don't know if they'd run, but I mean, everybody, I'm sure every local person knew about this thing, especially if he's giving tours and stuff. Also, Howard Finster, man. Have you ever been to Howard Finster's place up in Northwest Georgia?
No.
Oh, you should totally go, man. We'll do an episode about Howard Finster.
All right.
Maybe. He's a folk artist.
Yeah.
But let's see, what else do we got here? Yeah, the Florida table.
So a lot of the stones are fastened together without mortar, like they're placed on top of each other, and their weight kept them held together, which is pretty awesome. And like the craftsman detail was so skillful that the stones they were like connected with so that like, no light passed through the joints, like even like the places where they all met, where you'd think there would be like some kind of pinhole or something. There's no light comes through.
Yeah, it's true. They're just like completely just seamlessly connected next to each other.
Yeah.
Now
like
he had this.
Go ahead.
Well, he had this Polaris telescope. That's pretty cool. The outer part is located 20 feet outside from the wall of the castle. It's 25 feet tall and approximately 40,000 pounds. He completed it in 1940. And the eyepiece of the inner part of the telescope is located in the wall adjacent to the opening of the castle wall. At night, when the sets of the crossed wires, there's like these wires in between when you look through it. He's got his like crosshairs.
Yeah.
When the sets of the crossed wires in the inner and the outer pieces are aligned, the North Star Polaris will be seen. It was by means of telescope that Ed studied and recorded the path of the Earth's travels, and by which observations he obtained the data to need the sundial. He also has this thing. The sundial he has is really cool. He invented the way it works himself. The way he has it's just laid out with the shadow, moves throughout the day, so you can tell what time it is. You have to see a picture of it to really understand it, but it's.
Does that have daylight savings time?
No, I think daylight savings time is going to jack it up.
It's not built in yet.
No. And there's just so much stuff, though, when you're in there. It's like a garden of like all these rocks and fantastic shapes. And they do have like some, exotic plants that they have growing in there to make it look all fancy. And maybe he had those. I really try to picture, when I was there, I really tried to picture just hanging out like the way he'd be hanging out, like not like it's a museum, but just like it's his just house. He's just hanging out,
Sure.
I always obsess over doing weird stuff like that to my yard, but my wife usually doesn't like the idea.
Of what, going outside and hanging
quite
out?
as much. No. Like going outside and building ridiculous things in the yard, that people stare at and they drive by just to stare at and be like, what the heck's going on? This guy's crazy. Like just like crazy folk art stuff, man. It's interesting. I mean, why not? Dude, things get boring. Every house looks the same with those stupid, boring the yard's all landscaped the same. Like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, it'd be cool to have some giant, 20-foot statue in your yard or something.
Like those cool modern metal works art displays.
Yeah, just some giant, ridiculous, monstrosity contraption.
Yeah, like a stick figure playing guitar or something. That'd be cool.
Oh, something, yeah. And then some cool fence. All the way around your house with I mean, who knows, man? The sky's the limit. So this guy's basically doing that. He's just doing what he wants, man. He's got access and knowledge of some kind of ancient mystical truth. He can potentially levitate stones. Now, there is this one mystery, like black box, that in some pictures you can actually see it. And he's got he's kind of got like a big tripod of wooden legs, and up on top is this black metal box, and it's that people theorize like ridiculous things about like what he has in this box. like some kind of. I almost think of like, you remember Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom where
It opens
they
the
had like those
box.
rocks, and when you get them close to each other, yeah, like they like start doing like magic stuff.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, yeah, maybe he's got some kind of special gems or something, and there's like energy, and it's flipping the atoms and making gravity like mutate, like rippling out, all kind of weird, you know,
Yeah, they say that
maybe
if you
stuff.
hit the right sound frequency, that you can lift large stones or something.
Yeah, sound. I mean, we did an episode about the Seth materials a while
Hmm.
back, and actually, when I listened to the episode, I realized that there were a few things that we missed, and we didn't even cover it all, which is terrible. But Seth mentions that in one of the super ancient civilizations that's so far past on our planet that we have no sign of it or anything. It's just like, who knows, millions and millions of years ago. Um, Hundreds of billions. I mean, like, older than we can comprehend. That they had really harnessed the power of sound. Everything was sound powered, sound waves. Like, so maybe this guy somehow, yeah, he creates sound waves that like uplift matter. And obviously, he could have learned it from aliens.
Right. Oh,
Aliens obviously just have mastered physics somehow.
I mean,
You
if
know,
aliens are coming over here, they know how to move some stuff. They know how to actually.
right?
I mean, they know how to move planets, right? Where
They
they
just know
place
how to
us here.
manipulate.
They place the moon
Uh,
around us.
right. They know how to manipulate matter, energy, space, and time.
Yes. Yeah. They can get here. They've folded dimensions and gotten here.
Dimension folding. That was actually something we forgot to mention on the Scientology podcast, man, was matter, energy, space, and time. But whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll get them back
Whatever,
around to it.
man.
We'll get back around to it at some point.
These things drive me crazy. I listen to these podcasts myself, and I realize how much we just messed it up. And we missed so much. But at the same time, it was really good in so many other ways.
Yeah, I listened to like the more produced shows, and a lot of times they miss a lot of stuff too that I know that they didn't talk about.
Oh, I hear a lot of errors. Yeah.
I think that's why they have call-ins, so that some of the people can remind them of things they didn't think of.
Yeah.
Cover subjects.
So now I've finished my Paulaner Hefeweizen, and I'm moving on to the Monday Night Brewery here in Atlanta, Georgia. And it is the Fu Man Brew. Now it's similar to the Hefeweizen that I was just drinking, but it's got a little different flair to it.
I don't know. I don't taste the difference.
What, in beer?
Yeah, whenever I would drink beer, I never even taste it. I couldn't taste the difference.
What kind of beer were you drinking, man?
All kinds of stuff.
Man,
I mean, there would be like little bits of difference, but I couldn't really notice.
I taste some big differences in beers, man.
Lime and non-lime,
Lime and non-lime,
or stout and non-stout.
those are that's how you separate beer. There's lime and there's a non-lime.
There's Bud Light and there's Bud.
Well, so I mean, if you drink a stout and then you try an ale and you think they taste the same, then I mean that's fine, but I don't see how that's possible.
No, like a stout and like a Bass Ale, they wouldn't taste the same to me. But I hated stouts. Oh my god, I couldn't even put those in my mouth. Those are gross.
Yeah, I can enjoy a nice smooth stout. We could do an entire beer episode.
All right,
That would
be entirely led by you, by the way.
That would just me talking about beer and you saying,
I'm not a connoisseur, but
Man, I tell you what though, I would love to just go sit in the Coral Castle and hang out and drink a lot of beer. That would be a great day. They should allow that. They should have like concerts at this place, dude, because it would be so awesome. You just be drinking beer and super partying down. But they don't. I wonder if they do private events there. I bet they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. You have like a picnic there. They have like outside. What's outside the grounds? Anything cool?
Okay,
Just like
so when he built the place, obviously it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was the woods. It was how he wanted it. It was private, and but now it's built up. It's next to like a major like 4-lane highway, and it's
mm,
kind of in like a you know not like the greatest part of town. Um, there's been talk of moving it, but I don't know. I wouldn't move it. It seems fine to me the way it is. There's really nothing outside. There's a big field. I mean, so it's like it's basically rectangular shaped with the wall. And it's cool because outside the wall, there's a big giant hole in the ground where you can see where he quarried all this crap out of the ground. And that's about it. They got a little gift shop with all kinds of ridiculous stuff for sale in there. Actually, the gift shop was kind of interesting. They serve food too. They got some Dippin' Dots, you know.
well, yeah, Coral Castle was like sold and resold over the period of years. Um,
Right. Just keeps
so
changing hands, dude. Maybe we should try to start a Kickstarter and purchase the Coral Castle.
I don't know, man. It's sold for like $175,000 in the '80s. Yeah,
No,
1981.
it's not going to be cheap. I mean, it shouldn't be. It should not be cheap because this thing is one of those strange anomalies that's just it's just there for everybody to come and enjoy and ponder what Ed has done for us.
Oh, I mean, and some of the. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to get back into these. I figured I'd bore our audience more about the various aspects of the little things inside the castle. Um, let's see. Ed created his. He created a camera stand to provide a steady platform for box cameras. With their slow film speed of the film and unsophisticated camera lenses, modern cameras are much more sophisticated, but the platform still serves as a great location to take pictures of most of the castle. So that's kind of weird. He just thought about setting something like that up. The north wall behind the moon fountain is made of 3 separate blocks of coral. The center block is the heaviest piece in the castle, weighing approximately 60,000 pounds. Ed was so proud of having cut and moved such a great weight that he placed a monument on top of it and called it the Crown. So this guy quarried and moved a 60,000 pound piece of limestone coral.
Yeah, 30.
I
So
mean,
30 tons.
dude, you can have leverage, pulleys and weight. Some people say that they're like, this guy's not magical. He's not tapping into some kind of weird sacred energy. They're like, he just really knows how to master like ropes and pulleys
Yeah, and
and
logs on the ground. Rolls
and
them onto the
logs.
logs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, if that's true, then yes, he is a master. I mean, because this is
I mean, how do
60,000
you?
pounds. I mean, what is that? It's crazy.
God, I mean, how do you even start to think about how to move a chair? Maybe even a chair that weighs 2,000 pounds, 1 ton. Okay, that you say moves back and forth with ease. How do you even get it on the logs? Like you're one dude.
Right. One dude. And you're a 5 foot tall dude who weighs like 95 pounds. So I remember me and my friends, I had this little tiny Honda Accord hatchback, like the smallest little hatchback you could have. Now, granted, they used to use a lot more metal in the cars because this was like an 83. But I remember like me and my friends one time, like it was really heavy, but all 4 of us were able to like pick the back of the car up. And that probably doesn't even weigh a ton. You know what I mean?
Right, and you're getting a lot of help because the engine's in the front of the car.
Right.
So
And
most of
there's
your weight
4 of
difference.
us, and we're not even like 5 feet tall. We're
Right.
like, probably closer to 6 feet. Well, back then we were like 5'6" or something, but back in the day,
Like when you were a kid, just kids.
Man, speaking of which, you and me, we got some high school reunions coming up.
Yeah, I've never been to one.
I haven't either. I think I'm going to go to the next one though. Why
Yeah.
not, man?
I don't know. There's a few people like that start to come back around on like Facebook or something that I talk to, but not really. Most
No,
of
I'll
them.
totally go. Anyway, back on track. Okay, so he's all about planets, this guy, which
Is
is I
he?
guess a connection with the extraterrestrials, and the planets. Um, maybe he was actually like an alien that had somehow worn some kind of remember that movie Cocoon? You ever
Yeah.
seen that?
Yeah, where they're in the
Yeah,
pool and they get birthed from like a cocoon in
yeah,
the
those
pools.
exactly, those little pod cocoon things. So maybe he's actually one of those little like light beings, and he's wearing like a human, jumpsuit or a wetsuit kind of thing.
Yeah. Men in
And
black
that's how I
football
see this
suits.
guy. I see this guy as like some kind of Yoda Jedi master. But anyway, so on the east wall are the planets that he carved. The corner is Mars. The palmetto plant carving is on it reflects his belief that there is actually life on Mars. Next to Mars is Saturn, identified by the rings around it. The 20-foot tall moon crescent, which Ed named the Crescent of the East, weighs approximately 46,000 pounds, which is 23 tons.
Dang.
The whole planet grouping was originally carved in the original location, and he moved this thing. So he moved this 46,000 pound planet.
Yeah, I mean, think about a crescent. It's so you cut it. You have to. You cut it out. So that's the original stone must have been enormous.
Completely enormous.
Yes.
Basically, these stones actually, the original stones aren't ever enormous. What they are, yeah, I mean, it's just solid, like under the ground, and it goes on, for miles. It's just solid. So yeah, he cuts out whatever size he needs, which is, like you said, enormous. I mean,
even how he did that
46,000. Yeah, 46,000. Yeah, after he cut away the stuff, so he probably cut away another 10, 20,000 pounds from this thing. So let's say, 60,000 pounds was the original size of this stone, which is the same size as that north wall. So I tell you, now he's got this entire room here. It's called the throne room. And he believed that every man's house was his own castle, which I sort of agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And every castle should have a throne, which is usually like, I guess your man chair.
Yeah. With the remotes
and the ice water. Man chair.
Yeah.
Remotes with the ice water, preferably like, Barco lounger of some sort. So he built himself a throne, and the throne weighs 5,000 pounds, and you can rock on this throne. Behind his throne, and a bit to the side, are thrones for his sweet 16 wife. So all these years he was waiting on this 16-year-old bride. Of course, she got older over the years. He was just waiting on her. He was building this thing and thinking, oh, we're just going to live forever together, happy. And it gets worse because next to that, he had another little throne for their child that they were going to have.
Oh.
Child that never was born.
Oh, what a sad.
And you were mentioning to me earlier before we started the podcast, this story of this bride of his is just all about him. There is no documented evidence whatsoever that this woman ever even existed.
That's right. He calls her sweet 16. He implied in like his autobiography that, or is it biography? Yeah. That he implies that his sweet 16 was an ideal more than a reality. But a lot of people said that he used to write back to, wasn't that right, Eon? they would write back to Latvia and try to get her to come back over, and
I believe. Yeah, he wrote many letters,
and she
Sure.
never came.
Here's okay. So here's my take on it. He is like this old creepy dude. Well, not old, but old to her because she's 16. And actually, he was only like 23 when he 26.
I think 26 is correct.
Well, either way, he was young, early 20s,
Yeah.
and she's 16. So that's kind of creepy. And her dad probably was like, "You better get out of the country or I'm going to murder you." So he moved to the United States and thought for sure that they were in love. You know, he probably hooked up with her or something.
Yeah.
It says here, though, that he actually, at age 26, engaged a woman named Agnes Scuffs, who was 10 years younger. So a 16-year-old when he was 26.
It's and according to the report that I read, it said it was widely believed to be Agnes Scuffs, but according to the Latvian account, a girl existed, and her name was Hermine Lucis.
So he's just kind of creepy.
There's some girl out there that he wants.
He's not just creepy. He's like 5 feet tall. He's just like this kind of little guy. I mean, you feel sorry for the guy.
It's like he's got to be under 100 pounds. Because, I mean, you look at the pictures of him.
He's totally
like
under.
Scrawny.
Yeah, he's like 90, 95 pounds for sure. He's just like a tiny guy.
I mean,
he's probably got a tiny little hand. And that's the thing. He's moving these stones around with these like tiny little hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Have you ever seen that SNL sketch where Kristen Wiig is like this kind of weird inbred chick? She has like these tiny little hands.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm picturing. He's got those tiny little hands. And for those of our listeners who know what I'm talking about, you might be laughing hysterically. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go look this up because it's one of the funnier things on Saturday Night Live in a while. It's a Lawrence Welk remake, and Kristen Wiig is an inbred person with tiny hands. Okay. I bet Ed would love that SNL sketch. He loved tiny-handed women. Okay, so back to the discussion. Let's see about this throne. So yeah, they had a child's throne that, of course, the child never existed. Directly under Ed's throne is one for his mother-in-law, designated to be the most uncomfortable chair in the castle. The mother-in-law chair. It's just torturous.
Good job, man. Good job. I like
it. Behind his throne, to the left, was what they called the Mad Rocker, which is intended that when he and his sweet 16 got in a fight, he could sit in his chair and rock without having to look at her until they made up or got hungry. They could then sit side by side on the love seat and eat at the table that he had carved for them.
Oh.
Yeah, there's this one seat where like you both sit side by side. So it's like we're both sitting in opposite directions.
Mm-hmm.
We could just sit and gaze into each other's eyes.
Where your knees are at the same area, but you're
you're sitting in reverse to each other, side by side.
Oh, gotcha.
Which ironically was another Saturday Night Live sketch. I remember one time it was like the love toilet, where like you and your wife can sit side by side, gazing into each other's eyes as you take a big giant number 2, which to me sounds like the worst thing just possible.
Oh man,
I would hate that. I tried when I poop, man. I try to hide from any person the best I can with a locked door.
Yeah, open window and like a Febreze bottle.
Yeah, man. I don't want any sign of what I just did. I'm embarrassed about that. It's like one of the downsides of existing is that you have to poop. It's terrible. And I try to pretend that no one else does it.
The aliens don't have to. They don't have any genitals either.
Really?
Yeah, so they don't eat, no genitals. They have a slit for their mouth. They're devolving
So do they
out
live
of
off
life.
of like light? They like photosynthesize or something?
I don't know. Some people say that they absorb nutrients through the skin, like in the air, like
Okay.
breatharians. They're breatharians.
I could see that. You know, I've had moments, and we haven't delved into these types of conversations yet, but I've had moments with like meditation where I get like so calm and relaxed and so like in tune with reality where yeah, it's like time stands still and I'm like completely just like aware of everything and I'm not even like breathing. Like I don't
Hmm.
need it. I'm just completely still. But anyway,
Yeah, well, I haven't
so
got that far yet, but um, yeah, I mean that's what you try to do. You get outside that mind. Now, what's that thing that Joe Rogan does? He does like the salt bath or whatever that thing's called. That where you just like hover on the salt and meditate.
I don't I don't know about any salt stuff, man.
And it's
And
like
a lot of the meditations I did were it got pretty intense. It was actually more experimental. Um, and that was all back in around 2008 and 9. So I don't know if I could just jump right back into that. I probably should though. Okay, so here for my listeners who aren't watching the video, because you know, honestly, if I was a fan of this show, I really wouldn't be watching the video because there's really nothing to see. I mean, it's pretty boring to see me and you just talking to the camera, but I would be doing something else like I'd be mowing the grass, cleaning the house, driving in my car, walking around. Uh, I personally would be playing disc golf, although I usually don't listen to podcasts while playing disc golf. But I just want you to hear this. This is
the paper.
this is the tour guide that I'm reading from. So you're getting the official Coral Castle tour guide on this episode. I mean, this is an exclusive. I don't think this has ever been done before
I mean, I think it's
in the history of
priceless.
podcasting, where people give you the tour of the Coral Castle on an audio experience. I think that we're breaking new grounds here, Dookie Royale.
I think you're drinking too much beer.
You think?
No,
I'm on number 2.
this is
a
priceless
tasty
information.
beer.
Yeah, this is priceless information. I mean, we should be getting paid for
This
this.
is literally priceless, which also means free, which it is as well. Okay, so let's see here. We also have the Sun Couch. Ed built the couch 8 feet in diameter on a Ford brake drum so that he could turn it in any position to the sun and do some sunbathing. And then there's 3 raised pieces on there that are pillows. And I think they had that blocked off, like they wouldn't let me go lay down on that thing. I thought that was kind of lame.
That's kind of lame. What's up with that?
So we also got the 9-ton gate, which is considered to be Ed's most outstanding achievement. So the thing I was telling you about earlier actually is not the thing that we were talking about. This is the famous gate, the original entrance to the castle. It's 180 inches wide, 92 inches tall, and by 21 inches thick. And I can't even talk. Sorry, 21 inches thick. Yet can be moved around with just the push of one finger. And I had a buddy. I still got a buddy whose name's Ken, and he went there as a child, and he was a little kid, man. And he said he could push it with his finger. Now, unfortunately, after Ken did that, it broke around like the mid 80s. Maybe Ken broke it. I don't know. It pivoted on a rod and appears to be suspended from above, resting on an automobile gear, and fits a snug quarter of an inch from the walls on both sides of it. The gate has been probed, measured, and x-rayed by engineers and scientists to date, and no one has come forth with an acceptable explanation of how Ed so perfectly balanced an 18,000-pound weight with an uneven shape. So, but it's broken.
On a bearing or a gear.
It's broken. It's sitting on a gear, just balancing. It's not even.
Wow.
So this guy, I don't know, man. This Ed.
It's just a genius.
He's something. He's this genius. He's alone. He's a maverick.
Genius plus alien plus stargazer plus
Stargazer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a lot of good thinking done, you can tell.
Plus workaholic, plus researcher.
A lot of workaholic. But honestly, if you sat me down and I was just so bored and sober, I'd probably start working on some crazy stuff too, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You had the means to, right?
But exactly. Well, you need the time because we have to work these jobs these days that just take up so much of our time.
Here, man, drive 2 hours to work. Work for 9 hours. Stay here for 9 hours, and then drive home another 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
5 days a week.
And then do a bunch of house stuff, and then
get
some sleep, and then do it again.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds fun, man. We should sign up for that. Do 14, 15-hour days every day.
Yeah, we'll take the best part of your day too, when it's nice and sunny.
And then try to watch some TV shows that half the time are pointless.
That might be why we have some separation from nature, is because we're indoors during the day. Working. Most everyone is indoors.
Did you notice how amazing the weather was today?
Yes.
I mean, it was completely amazing.
85 degrees, puffy clouds,
cool breeze.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those clear days where the sky's just boring and blue. I mean, it had puffy clouds just hanging about.
Yep.
I went out to my car a couple times and enjoyed it, but other than that,
no smog. It's a good day.
Nope. No chemtrails.
No kimmers. I mean, you'll notice
kimmers.
That's a subject in its own, but you'll notice that on clear days when the temperature starts to rise, that the chemtrails start, on purpose.
Yeah, them chemtrails.
And the days that they don't spray, they come in from the west, they were sprayed over Louisiana or Mississippi and Alabama or something, and they just kind of creep over us. But no, I mean, when I was a kid, you never saw those super high clouds that often. It barely ever happened. Now they're all the time, every day, every week. And if they don't block our sunny days, they create rain to make it rain all the time.
Are you talking about a HARP?
No, there's literally there's known technologies, and the government has admitted to using weather. What do you call them? Manipulation of the weather to get more rain over here than you would in say China or Japan or something like that, or Iran. So cloud seeding.
Totally. Oh yeah. If they can harness the weather, they're going to do it.
I mean, that's a known war tactic. Is cloud seeding. I think they were doing that in the 50s and 60s or something. But anyway,
sure they would.
So I mean, that's a nice megalithic site. Do you have anything else to add about him?
Who?
About the coral castle and the site and everything? Because there's some other pretty awesome megalithic sites out there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of megalithic sites. I mean, we could see here. There's. I mean, I've been going to some extreme detail here about each of the parts. I could just give you guys a quick rundown of some of the other parts. If people are interested, there was a well that he dug down into the ground, and there was a little stairway that went like a spiral staircase even, and he could go down there and hang out in this room during the hot, South Florida, come on, that's going to get crazy hot in the summer, man. But he could just go down there, and he could even store food in sealed jars, and it would stay cool. Let me see what else we got.
That's why we have like spring water that stays the same temperature a lot of the time. The further down you get, the colder it gets.
Yep. He built twin beds in his bedroom, one for him and one for his Sweet 16. Or no, so yeah, one for him and his wife, and then beds for his 2 children on the level above. There's also a 57,000-pound obelisk that stands there, and it is sunken 6 feet and stands 40 feet tall. So that's pretty impressive to see that thing.
Yeah, there was like a hurricane that came through, a Category 5 that hit South Florida, and nothing was moved or altered. So that tells you something too. Like it's built to withstand 150-mile-an-hour winds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, nothing's taking this thing out. He even has a repentance corner. I mean, you could tell this guy really put a lot of thought into this wife and kids of his, man, because he has a corner specifically designed with a bench where a kid can sit and repent and think about the bad things that he had done. He's got a barbecue cooker that he had in there. I'm sure he used it a bunch. He's got a giant table where you can have feasts.
The 10-cent admission fees. I'm sure he had a lot of feasts.
A lot of feasts, yeah, with the 10 cent. Of course, 10 cents back in the day was probably more like what, $1 or $2. I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder like how he made out, like how he got food every day and bought these gears, and how he did all this stuff on no money.
Just focus, I guess. Oh, now this is kind of interesting. Up to his room, there's a tower in the corner you were mentioning earlier, and the upstairs room is like his bedroom. And the tower itself weighs 243 tons. Of course, it's made up of separate blocks. About 4 to 9 tons each, those blocks. But it has 16 steps going up to the room, which is, one step for every year of his,
sweet
his
16.
bride. I wonder if he was smart enough to realize that as the years went on, she wasn't 16 anymore.
Right.
I don't think so. I think he seemed to be real focused on that Sweet 16.
That's why it sounds like more of a story than a reality.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, man. Now, they had on display some of the tools that he had used, and a lot of it was really just pulleys and chains and nothing that was that mind-blowing. But, of course, that black box I was talking about was nowhere to be seen, so we don't know about that, man. That's the mystery. So, anyway, let's talk about some other megalithic stones.
So Wikipedia has a really good list of megalithic sites, and the page is called "List of Largest Monoliths in the World." But I found, there's the most famous one, at least that was just, I think, recently discovered as a megalithic site, is Göbekli Tepe. Which, if you read about Göbekli Tepe, it is an archaeological site on top of the mountain ridge in southeastern Anatolia region of Turkey. It's pretty high up above sea level. Excavated by a German archaeological team, has massive T-shaped megalithic stones. So this is the oldest known settlement in the world, and it has megalithic T-shaped pillars, 200 of them. It has about 20 circles known as geophysical surveys, or known through geophysical surveys under the ground. So, I mean, just sites like that just kind of boggle your mind, man.
Yeah, now, how old do they think this thing is? I've seen this on, I believe, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's one of the first few episodes, I think, if I remember correctly. Each pillar is a height of 6 feet and weighs up to 20 tons. They're fitted into sockets that were hewn out of the bedrock.
They think this thing is 10,000 BC.
Right.
And I think they were thinking that I don't think they think humans were creating structures like this back then, but then they
No.
found this thing and they're like, holy crap.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is supposed to be like this is like pre-pottery. Like people aren't even supposed to have pottery at this point, right? They're not supposed to be even painting in the cave walls, you know? Neolithic. I mean, they've determined this is a Neolithic place. So civilization in Turkey was at the
And it's not just giant pieces of stone. I mean, they had got really cool carvings on them.
Yeah, you were mentioning before the podcast lizards. I see bulls, oxes, foxes, all kinds of stuff that doesn't exist in Turkey, or not near Turkey right now. They think that 10,000 BCE that was like forest or rainforest or something like that. So, but now it's pretty much desert land.
Well, maybe it's like the Egyptians. Like maybe there was some kind of Stargate thing that there was these people with like animal heads or something.
Yeah, this is true.
Maybe. They think it's The thing is stuff like this, man. I mean, they can say, "Oh, it was this or it was that," but I mean, come on, like nobody knows what the heck that thing is. It's just crazy old, and you're just like, "Holy crap!"
Well, Göbekli Tepe is kind of special because like all the statements about the site are considered preliminary because only 5% of it's been excavated. One of the I guess what do you call archaeologist of the site? His name's like Klaus Schmidt. He planned to leave much of it untouched or unexplored because you can use geophysical like 3D scans, and the 3D scans are getting so much better because of technology, like the memory that you can put into these, and the sensors are getting a lot better. So they think they'll be able to leave it as is and be able to explore it untouched, unless they find some cavern of gold, and then of course they're going to gold rush it.
Of course,
they'll just decimate it and scatter all the findings throughout museums across the world.
Yeah. Now I tell you, this lizard carving is really, really well done. And then you get some other. So, what about Puma Punku? This is a really interesting place in Bolivia.
Well, that's another thing. Like, this isn't just like in Turkey or the Middle East or China or something like that. Like every continent on the planet has megalithic structures. So there was some secret, some visitors, something that was spreading this around, right?
I mean, Puma, like, okay, so Göbekli Tepe or whatever, what was it called?
Göbekli Tepe, yeah.
Göbekli Tepe. A lot of it looks pretty carved by hand. It's very impressive, but you still can tell it's kind of organic and analog, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Puma Punku, if you go to this thing, man, I mean, we're talking like it looks like machined, like perfectly round circles with clean lines.
Yeah, it is out in the middle of nowhere. I think it's near the Nazca lines as well.
Yes. And so, let's see. It's believed to be about 500 to 600 AD.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the pictures on that. There's like embedded, like embossed, like squares and triangles and rectangles and like crosses in the rock, and like people can't machine that today.
Right. There's like some stuff going on there. Yeah, the way those things are cut, it's just completely, it's mysterious. And then another thing, what's interesting is that there's sections of it that seem like they've just been obliterated by like some high-powered
that's right.
weapon or something. I mean, they're just like blown to smithereens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot of stuff. There's just these little section of these ancient stones just sitting about
According to the
out
Inca
in
traditions, it's
Bolivia.
believed to be the site where the world was created. So kind of like what's that, Israel for the Christians?
Oh, so it's like the Garden of Eden, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I like to think that's cool, man. Like, let's say there's some truth to the story of Garden of Eden. Like, let's say something special went down there, right? Because maybe it did. Maybe there was some special thing that happened there. It's cool to think that that happened like in various places around the planet, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is just another one of them. And everybody wants to think that their little story is the special story, but it's like, well, it's more special if you realize there's like various stories.
Yeah. Just like
that are all-
there's like for every near death experience there's a different story for each one. Like some
Oh
of them are
man,
similar, but I mean every time you hear one it's just like a different experience. Like there is no pearly gates there, for everyone. In fact, very small people even say that they're judged when after they die and come back.
Mhm.
But man, the
yeah, you
religion, like
definitely
with the
there are similarities, but yeah, some big, huge differences as well.
yeah.
And some people are
Um,
just have like it's more of like a reincarnation experience.
It makes you wonder, like, because there's pyramids all over the world too, in every area of every continent, and nobody really acknowledges that. I don't think, except for archaeologists. Um, you think there's some kind of global messaging system or global travel or something that was already happening at some point, back in this 2000 BCE, 10,000 BCE era. I mean, 2000 BC and before, anything could have happened, really. And, the Earth has almost destroyed every single site except for a few dozen.
Yeah, we got a handful. We keep uncovering a few here and there.
Well, they say, like,
Um,
you go out into the rainforest in South America that nobody's even stepped foot on. I mean, like, the natives that live out there don't care. The people and the archaeologists that do care haven't set foot on it. So there could be huge sites out there, that just overgrew in like 100 years.
oh, there are, man. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that yet to be discovered.
There's one place in Mexico called Palenque. It's near, I think let's see, where is that? It's at the bottom of like, what's that part where Cancun's on? It's
The Yucatan Peninsula.
Yucatan Peninsula. It's like at the base of the Yucatan Peninsula. It actually went under in like 800 AD, and it was overgrown forest, and they discovered it, and it's a really, really nice site. Like, I mean, if it was closer to Cancun, maybe I'd visit it, but
Oh yeah. Well, over time it'll be a big tourist trap, I'm sure.
it's a monolithic place too. And they have, I mean, there's pictures of huge stones laid at the base of some of the pyramids.
Yeah, I went to Chichen Itza. It was pretty darn impressive because
Yeah,
it's not just the pyramid there. I mean, there's a whole city of all kinds of crazy stuff you can go walk around and look at.
yeah, and they have really nice like a model under glass. You remember seeing that when you were there, like of what the city used to look like with like these little tiny people on it, and they had like hundreds of little hut houses built. And
I don't know if I remember that, but you can picture it when you're there. I mean, it's huge.
yeah, it's a big city, and that was like one of the only spots where fresh water came out of the ground and met the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the guy that was giving us a tour there. It was like, this is one of the very rare spots like that you could find fresh running water.
Yeah, I think they showed us that as well.
Yeah.
Hey, so this guy Ed, he wrote some pamphlets. Did you read about that stuff?
Oh, he wrote a book about himself as well or something.
Oh, did he? Okay.
But no, I didn't read the pamphlets thing.
His first and longest booklet was about moral education. And what's funny about it is it's printed only on the left-hand pages of each of the book, and he prefaces it by saying, "Reader, if for any reason you do not like the things I say in this book, I left just as much space on the right so that you can write in your own opinion on the other side, and you can try to do better." So that's kind of a cool concept. Um, in one of his pamphlets, he discusses about raising boys and girls, and a lot of people think that in that one he's actually speaking in code. And when he's talking about raising boys and girls, he's talking about raising, big giant stones.
Oh.
He also wrote a pamphlet. He did a lot of magnetic research. So a lot of people think that he was somehow, he figured out a way to use magnetism to counterbalance gravity. And he has a pamphlet that he wrote about magnetism. It says his other 4 pamphlets address his theories on interaction of electricity, magnetism, and the body. But he also included a number of simple experiments to validate these theories. Contradicting the standard model of electromagnetism, his theory is based upon the theory that metal itself is not the magnet, and that the real magnets are circulating within the metal. These individual north and south pole magnets are particles smaller than atoms, or photons, and each particle is the substance from which the individual magnet gets its power. He claimed that all matter was being acted upon by what he calls individual magnets. He also claimed that scientists of his time were looking in the wrong place for their understanding of electricity, and that they were only observing one half of the whole concept with their one-sided tools of measurement, for instance.
It's an interesting theory.
He says magnets in general are indestructible. For instance, you can burn wood and flesh. You can destroy the body, but you cannot destroy the magnets that hold together the body. They do go somewhere else. Iron has more magnets than wood, and every different substance has a different number of magnets that holds that substance together. If I make a battery with copper for positive terminal and a beef for the negative terminal, I get more magnets out of it than when I use copper for positive terminal and sweet potato for negative terminal. From this, you can see that no two things are alike.
So, yeah, I mean, I've read or I listened to a podcast or something where they were talking about when he was coming over, he had leukemia or something. Or what was that? Not leukemia.
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis is what he got, yeah. And he treated it with magnets. That's how he got healed by his tuberculosis. He was in the hospital for a little while or something. So that's interesting.
Yeah, man. I mean,
but he says, I wonder if he used electricity to like increase the magnet, maybe he had like a little magnet on it and was powering it with electricity. Because that's what I mean. I'm into the voltages and stuff like that in my daily work. So meters, and I'm checking boards and stuff like that out on site at customer locations.
You're pretty high tech, man.
So that would be kind of cool if he was using like a powered magnet to move. And I think that he specifically targeted the coral reefs. Like he'd read about them in a book. And he mentioned that in his book, his biography, that he moved over here specifically targeting that coral reef. And he was surprised that he could get the land for so little. And so he moved over here right away. Like that's why he was coming over here in the first place.
Hey man, I just got a text. Apparently we got somebody listening in live on the podcast here.
Yeah, I don't see him in our chat room.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't have we have our little Google Hangout window here.
Google Hangout session at the moment.
Not watching. I don't see any viewers.
Well, all right. So the Coral Castle, pretty cool place. Cool place to go drink some tasty beer. Maybe look at the stars. They close before dark, so that's kind of lame. It'd be cool to like be able to camp out there or something.
Yeah, you can probably camp nearby. I wouldn't mind going down there for a weekend or something. That'd be kind of neat because we're in Atlanta. We're not too far. I mean, we're 10 hours away, but.
Hey, so we got a message from a live viewer. What else can be cured with magnets?
What do you think?
Oh man.
I mean, I've heard
cancer.
Well, yeah. There's a magnetic brain tumor study or something going on right now that I heard of. So because you inoperable brain tumors, they're trying to heal that with magnets.
I bet I could heal my bad putting in golf
Disc
with
golf
magnets
or regular golf.
Yeah, just in general. I bet I could just kind of realign everything in my life with proper magnets. Not that I have a lot of misalignment, but when the basket's 20 feet away and you miss it, maybe you needed a little calibration.
Well, I mean, there was a guy who supposedly had, worked on what is it, Area 51 with the alien spacecrafts that had crashed in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And he did an experiment, and he only told as much as he could without going over classified stuff. But he said that if you drop a magnet from the Empire State Building tied together, like a positive and a negative magnet tied together, and then a regular magnet without the negative part, if you dropped them at the same time, the positive and negative would arrive like 9 or 10 seconds later. So, and he was like, "That's all I can say," on the video. So there's got to be some cool stuff you can do with magnets, like levitation, magnetic fields. I think people are on the right track with that stuff.
Magnets are like the coolest thing ever. I mean, if you have some pretty powerful magnets, I mean, you can play all kind of fun games with those things. So we got another question here. Well, we got somebody just chiming in here on the chat.
Okay, go ahead.
They're thinking that possibly the full moon energy might be insane at the Coral Castle. Like it could be some kind of like maybe energy vortex of some sort. And also they're asking about
who's our member?
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Being magnetized. Healing diabetes. What about AIDS, man?
Well, they take out. So there's a process for the AIDS where they pull out your blood and like put it through some kind of centrifuge or something, and then put it back in your body, right? Wasn't that like a treatment a while back?
Yeah, I'm sure.
AIDS is a conspiracy theory anyway, man. It doesn't exist. Didn't you know that?
Dude, I've heard some theories about AIDS, man.
Didn't you know that AIDS does not exist? It's a conspiracy, bro.
I don't know. I saw this movie with Tom Hanks. It was called Philadelphia.
Yeah, man.
It had this Bruce Springsteen song. And no. But yeah, man, I don't know.
What was that most recent one? Dallas Buyers Club. That was
Dallas Buyers Club, dude. That was a good movie. I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Dude. And also, there was this guy that was in the movie that went to the high school just next to mine and used to hang out at my Papa John's. He was like the boyfriend of Jared Leto in the movie. Yeah. Or I don't know if they were boyfriend, but they were good friends at least.
So he was the actor in that movie. Yeah, that was a good. He was
totally an actor. Well, he's the lead singer of a band called Deer Hunter.
Who, Jared Leto or the other guy?
The other guy, the guy that I know from high school.
Yeah, Leto is also in a band, right?
Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not my favorite, but let's see. We're getting some more messages here.
Okay, go ahead.
Tom Hanks, Denzel. I don't know what they're talking about, but I don't know why they're not chatting on our YouTube channel here.
Where are you getting those from? On Twitter or something?
I'm getting these from my brother-in-law's girlfriend.
Oh, just on there. Text.
Yeah, and she's texting my phone. Yeah, so that's good. We got an interactive subscriber.
This is good.
She's soon to be a celebrity. Going to rise up in the ranks.
Oh yeah,
of our pyramid.
we're taking over. We're going
That's
to New York City, man. We're going to New York City.
We're taking over. We're going to Atlanta. We're going to Birmingham, Chattanooga. We're moving into Greenville.
Coming at you live from
Man,
deep within the bunker.
That kind of hurt my throat talking like that.
Don't do that, man. Don't injure yourself.
Oh, she says the band was not 30 Seconds to Mars. It was actually called 30 Seconds to Garbage. So apparently we made a mistake.
Well, Garbage was its own band.
Garbage, dude. A lot of people really like that band, Garbage.
I'm only happy when it rains.
Yeah, that was definitely one of their songs. And I really wasn't a fan. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm not gonna talk about Nickelback this episode. That's the only time I'm gonna say the word. But you admitted last time that you went to a Creed concert, so
A couple of them, yeah.
a couple Creed. So you saw it the first time, and it blew your mind. He's like, I got to go back to some more Creed.
So it's probably within like the first month of their first single. I can't remember what the name of that thing was, but that was when I saw them. They were coming through, and it was cheap. It was a cheap concert, like $8 or something. And then like the third album, I think we went to one that was playing. What was that other band that always used to tour with them? It was like
Creed?
it was like New Day of the Dawn or something. Like I can't remember.
Oh, Days of the New.
That's it. Days of the
New. Yeah. So for our listeners who don't yet know this, like Dookie Royale and I, we listened to a lot of 90s alternative in the 90s.
Yes.
So we know a lot about some of that. And then we got off track there in the early 2000s into some underground music.
It's all that hippie stuff.
Just all kinds of stuff. And now we like a lot of podcasts. And I was listening to Paul Simon the other day. I like Paul Simon.
I'm like a podcast freak right now. That's all I do, bruh. I'm a podcaster.
Yeah, we are actually. I was about to probably just quit my job and just do podcasting full time and just see how it goes. Hopefully,
I hope you got a fat pig.
I hope that I don't get kicked out of my house before I start pulling in some kind of revenue stream. But I figure if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Is God leading you to this quest?
Oh, God. Oh, absolutely. God is constantly leading me, whether I like it or not. And you too. You got that, buddy?
God-fearing.
Hey, so
son of a gun.
We're at one of those times in our podcast where we just kind of get off track and we start talking about whatever me and Dookie Royale would talk about, like on the telephone. Which
this is where the listening minutes start to drop off.
Yeah, the listenership starts to drop off, But at the same time, I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Some of them are pretty long, and I like to hear parts where people just go off on tangents talking about all kind of crazy stuff they never would have thought about talking about. So we're kind of exploiting that concept right now, I guess.
It's probably because it's the right thing to do, man. Stay on topic and talk about all the, talk about the subject that you put on your title.
Oh, hey, Duke. So I just got some insight here from the from our secret chat room forum person.
Yes.
She says that God is not leading me. That it's magnets that are leading me. And that makes total sense.
It's magnetic protons.
I think that all the answers of the universe are all the questions, or I think all the answers were just question right there.
So do you think scientists have discovered that there was magnetic fields and protons or something? Is that what he was trying to say?
I think scientists. I think that the Insane Clown Posse has asked some pretty deep questions about magnets
ICP.
and miracles. Have you ever seen that video?
No.
You've never seen miracles?
No.
All right. So to our listeners, if you want to get up to speed pretty quickly, just Google search "Miracles" by Insane Clown Posse and just watch the whole video. Probably 3 or 4 minutes of your time. It could very well change your life. Now, after that, if you were really, really entertained and you dare to search the next thing, look up David Hasselhoff's video for Hooked on a Feeling. And that video might change your life forever, but
for the worse.
But well, no, for the better. I mean, this is a mind-altering, dimension-transcending experience. So I think actually, I think if we really got some people together, we could probably get a David Hasselhoff concert at the Coral Castle.
More trouble than it's worth?
I don't know, man. I think that might just open up a Stargate.
The Bermuda Triangle will notch over a few hundred miles. Envelop Atlanta.
Oh, dude, it'll bring all the vortexes together to one center. You remember when like the Death Star, it like charged up and all those mini lasers all came together to make one big like laser that just blew up the planet?
Yep.
I'm not a big enough nerd to know what the name of that planet was. Or was it Alderaan? That just popped into my head.
You could say anything. Yeah, you could say anything.
Anyway,
right
it was Luke Skywalker's home planet. But anyway, it's sort of like that. It's
I'm definitely not nerdy enough for that.
It's kind of like, if we could get David Hasselhoff to perform at the Coral Castle, like all the energy vortexes they would all come together into one giant beam of energy, and it would just burst and make love take over the universe. And there would be no more pain, and we wouldn't have to work anymore. We would just we would all see our true existences.
Oh, instantly transported to the 7th dimension of higher self.
Oh, dude. Right to and I mean, if you're a Scientologist, you're hitting like OT8, boom. OT8. Operating Phaeton full scale. Right there. Completely clear, man.
You're gone clear at that point. You're not going clear.
Totally clear.
All right, let's take a drink from my.
So, what do you think, man? What are you drinking?
Agua. It's from my.
Agua.
Look how well worn this water bottle is. It's a RAW. I don't know how old I've had this. How long I've had this.
Drink a lot of water, man. Drink the water. Drink the water, Duke. Okay, so
spring water, pure.
I'm trying to think of what else we should talk about the Coral Castle. I mean, it's in southern Florida. If you're ever in Miami area, if you go by the Keys, you're kind of insane if you don't just go by there and stop and check it out. Even if it's just for an hour, you're going to get a tour. You're going to get offered to buy some, trinkets, possibly, a calendar or something, postcard.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a NASCAR track near there in Homestead, Florida, as well. Yeah, so anybody can go ahead and head into Homestead for the NASCAR race. Go check that out.
Oh.
Also, Miami, not far away.
Miami's very close.
Added plus.
Yeah, I mean, if you like Miami, if you like some Cuban food, great place to go. Check it out. Just
yeah, inland Florida, like on that bottom part of the peninsula, is super hot and humid all the time. Just like you have to be underground. You almost have to be underground.
Mm-hmm. I went on the trip that I went to the Coral Castle. I went ahead and went all the way down to the Keys.
Yeah.
So
it's like
honestly, that was a little bit overrated as well. The Coral Castle is cooler than the Key West, I would say.
All right. So what have you? Just at the end of our podcast here, but what did you get into this week? Just randomly. What was something cool that happened this week?
Well, that's a good question, man. Well, this weekend I played a new disc golf course.
Oh yeah.
That opened up nearby, and this one's a novel concept because this one's every hole is par 2. So every hole is really short, and the only way to get a birdie is by getting a hole in one.
Oh, so you posted a really cool video on your Facebook about that guy that got a hole in one. That's pretty
neat. Made it on Sports Center.
Yeah, which is pretty rare, right?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I've probably had about 9 in my life, but of course that one was during an actual tournament, so it counts, for all the money. But yeah, no, that was a great video. I have a whole Facebook channel that I subscribe to. And it's called World's Greatest Disc Golf Videos. So if you want to go to Facebook and click like on that, you'll just get the world's greatest disc golf videos coming to you.
Yeah, man, that was a good video. But I was watching one thing I want to mention about what I did this week. I watched a really good Vice report on HBO. So if you have HBO, check out the news report series Vice. And I think
they do some cool stuff.
Man, they do some really good stuff. Holy cow! They went to Haiti and they did like a 15-minute report about what's going on in Haiti right now. And it was so packed with like 15 minutes just slammed with information. But here's a trivia question for you. How many people do you think died in the Haiti earthquake?
The Haitian?
Total numbers. After what I think it's been 4 years now, the totals have been added up. How many people?
3 million.
Oh my God, what? Haiti is like a small little island, dude.
Okay, like 30.
30 people? Or 30,000?
30,000. Right.
So in Thailand, it was like 90,000 or something. Haiti, 223,000 people. And 2 million people don't have a house to live in anymore.
That's a bad situation.
Yeah. They're going to estimate like at 10 to 16,000 people in the earthquake that just happened. Where is that? Over in Nepal. But anyway, Vice showed this camp where people just built houses out of stones. And it was, they showed a before and an after picture. It was just like a before, it was like valleys, really pristine and awesome and nice. And then after, it was like hundreds of thousands of like these stone houses built with plastic roofs. And I mean, it's unbelievable. And then they go into how much aid was sent to Haiti. And Haiti's like, I mean, the size of Vermont. It's not even that big. It's like very small, but millions of people live in it. And it's completely like treeless. All the trees in the forest have been cut down. Every single one. There are no trees. And it shares the island with Dominican Republic, I think. Yeah, Dominican. And so half of the island is like desert, and the other half is pristine, like rainforest. It's amazing, like from satellite view.
Okay.
But anyway, man, anybody should go check that out. It was really good. And I've been telling people about it all week.
You said it's on Netflix?
No, it's on HBO.
Okay.
So you have to, but Vice has a channel. It has about 5 channels actually on YouTube. And I think they release those episodes on YouTube, like a week after.
Vice has a lot of great stuff.
HBO.
Just search Vice on YouTube. You'll find all kind of great stuff.
They do fluff pieces too, but every once in a while they have like these super badass things.
I think actually Vice has a season or 2 of their show on Netflix, or they used to.
You might be right. I don't know.
Hey, so I saw this good documentary on Netflix actually, and I hate to stay on the whole concept of golf here, but this one I thought was really good. It's all about the 7 and 8-year-old golfers in the world that are competing for the world championship.
What? 7 and 8-year-old golfers?
Yeah. And the guy that won it last year, who's competing to win it for the 2nd year in a row, is Anna Kournikovas' little baby brother.
Tell me the name. What's the name of it?
It's called The Short Game. It was really good. Like, I just clicked on it because I was like, oh, that sounds funny, like whatever. But then I was like, I got like super into it, and it was like awesome.
That's a good title too. The Short Game. It's like a double meaning.
It's a great name. It's just it's a good documentary. It's got actually 5-star rating.
Yeah, my daughter's into golf a little bit.
Oh man, your daughter would love this.
I got her a golf set, or her grandfather got her a golf set.
I mean, I think golf's probably my favorite sport because it's not just a sport. It's almost like a form of meditation. I mean, you get out there and it's like a battle with your thoughts. You know, you're constantly having to stay in the present moment and focus on the shot at hand. But those other shots of, like, you know, anxiety and you know, being upset, you got to let go of the emotions that you had from the last hole. If you had a bad hole, you got to just go in clean to every hole and just take it. And you got to, you know, you'll have a bad break and you got to make the best of what you got. You got to stay optimistic. You also have to factor in when something is a risk, you know, what's the reward for that risk payoff? Is it not worth it? You might want to play it safe and just take the par, you know. It's pretty cool.
You get a lot of exercise. Unless you're like a golfer.
Yeah, you get some exercise. Disc golf, you get a lot of exercise having to walk everywhere.
There are no golf carts there.
There's definitely no golf carts in disc golf. And disc golf's a lot easier on the wallet, you know. You can go out there and as long as you got your discs, man, it's just free.
Mostly free, right? Yeah.
There's a couple paid courses, but they're like $5. So I mean, that's basically free.
Yeah, it's not like $35 plus the rental of the thing. Yeah.
Which is why I like the sport. I really like the idea of promoting it, you know, to children that are from, you know, poorer houses, because it's a great thing you can get involved in and pursue without getting off track with these, you know, bad influences.
All right, so I think we come to the end of our podcast here for today. There.
Yeah, I think we covered everything about the Coral Castle that we could. We covered monolithic structures.
Yeah, I mean, we should have a more detailed megalithic structures podcast.
Megalithic.
Well, monoliths are megalithic structures, so you said it right. It's okay. But yeah, we should have like a more, well, you know, later on, one of our 1,000 episodes to come. We'll have a guest on. Talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to get a guest.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of guests for near-death experiences and past lives episode that we're going to have soon. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully hopefully we can work out times. And
hopefully we can work something out.
Yes. And we'll get
and if any of our listeners just want to pop in, not for necessarily a whole episode, but if they just want to do like a little segment, you know, that could be interesting as well.
Yeah, let us know. We'll invite you on Google Plus. You know, give us some information about who you are and what you're interested in.
Yep. Q the A podcast at gmail.com. We got Q the A podcast, or no, Facebook is just Q the A.
Yeah, that's part of our format, is that we're going to invite, you know, anybody can come on and talk about stuff.
Sure.
But we're not going to do it with like phone call-ins or anything like that. We want to do it with the technology of the future.
Yeah, we're going to do Google Plus.
Yep.
So I guess that's about it.
Let's close her up. Join us on Twitter at Q the A podcast, at Q the A podcast at gmail.com, and on Facebook, Q the A. Did I miss any? I think we got it all right.
I think we got it all. If people want to find us, they can find us.
Find us.
All right, guys.
We're also on Stitcher, the podcast app.
Stitcher.
What was the other one we were accepted to? I don't know.
We're on iTunes, of course.
We're on iTunes, of course. So spread it around. Get people to listen. Give us some feedback. Talk to us. If you want to be a guest on our show, give us an email. QTheApodcast@gmail.com. Good night.
That's right. All right. Good night, everybody.